Things of that nature, things of that nature, and you owe it to yourself. Oh,
What up, what up, what up?
What's
What you
good,
did? Yeah,
man?
another one,
I know it.
another one. Another episode of Things of That Nature. One of your hosts right here, Doc Madness, Madman Smooth, Special Out Recordings, Demolition Man Productions. My bad, y'all. I'm just trying to make sure I'm seeing if anybody's coming through the green room. My bad, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Thing Uno, Things of That Nature, and you are tuned in to the session live at 9 with me and the D. And we should have some affiliates coming in, popping in up here shortly. We're going to take you on a journey about some stuff that's going on with the music industry as we speak, and also some updates in the AI. What's good with it, G?
Oh man, I can't call it. I'm not gonna complain about too much. Feel me?
That's
Just
right.
moving and grooving. Just
Like you
doing
do,
what it do,
like you do.
man. Watching some football, you know, just chilling,
Mhm.
man. Just chilling, bro. Caught the little
That's what
blues band last night again.
Okay. That's what it do, man. Nothing
Yeah,
wrong with
I
that.
think we
Nothing
having
wrong
some
with that.
audio issues, bro.
Why, what's wrong?
I'm hearing this ticking,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know whose it is on.
Let
And
me
you
check
sound
something. Before we
lower
get
than normal.
started, all right, before we get started, let me check a couple of things here. I see why on my end. Thank you for that. Let's see if I can change anything here.
Man, somebody
Is that better?
outside. These dogs go.
Is that better?
Hell yeah, it's better.
All right, good looking out. Yeah,
So,
man. So here's
yeah.
technical difficulty. So let's go ahead and start this all over for those out there, man. My bad on y'all, man. We had some technical difficulties and everything in between. So welcome to another episode of the session with the doc, with things of that nature. Things that's out there. We got D and we got some affiliates
What's
that
up
should be
with it?
pulling up shortly too, man. So we're gonna take you on a journey with some music issues that's going on that I've been pulling from lately and just give some updates, man. It's a wild thing right now to be an artist. Well, it's always been, but it's wild. And artists meaning both producers and writers. You know, they're still all artists. So, but anyhow, let's go ahead and let's get this moving, man. One of the things I'll go give y'all a layout. Basically, what we're gonna be talking about is some DSP payouts versus direct sales. Just to kind of give a little back history on how we got to this point, the devaluation of music or specifically beats with producers. That's been a big issue, and it's something that caught my eye and ear. And then also versus quantity versus quality, basically like a full album experience. I know D and I we talk about this pretty often on when we listen to music on the experience of what a whole album brings versus just having songs that you really can't just go off of one song and determine how an album is going to be or the artist how they're how you would rate them. You know, you can't just judge it by a small dose of their music by one song. But anyhow, um get started here. So first things, man, I just want to go ahead and kind of bring something to the forefront, and that's just streaming versus payout reality. Like there's a big misconception that hey, let's go get all these streams and then you're gonna get paid, right? Like a full album that normally people used to buy for like $10, $10 to $15, but we're just gonna keep this at the $10, like just for the sake of equivalent to streams, real quick. $10, bro, is equivalent to 3,000 streams. And why is that why is that even a factor is because 3,000 streams is a lot of streams for just where you can buy an album and it's like boom that $10 and you're on to the next, whereas 3,000 streams for a small independent artist that's trying to do things on their own, um 3,000 streams just doesn't come really that fast, right? Whereas a hand-to-hand sale is different. You are able to kind of able to get that across and then on to the next sale. So if we're talking royalties, if we're talking about splits, like that's a lot, bro. Like you got to start streaming a whole lot. I was watching this video. And I'm gonna cue that up and play it here. It looks like we are having difficulties because I'm glitching. But I'm gonna queue up a video later on. I'm still waiting to see if we can get effects on here, but basically it does speak on how, and it's Scarface as that too, right? He speaks about how the misconception when you think of how many how much money does a million streams equal. So we just talked about right here on a full album that's normally $10 equals take about 3,000 streams for us to go ahead and make that happen. Um, the streaming payout reality is normally 0.003 to 0.005 cents. So we're talking about thousandths, you know what I'm saying, of a cent, right? So, or hundredths of a cent. So it just keeps on getting smaller and smaller. Whereas it used to be, here, man, let's go ahead and buy a single for 99 cents for $1, right? You could stream it for 99 cents. You could download it for 99 cents. You could do different things of that nature. What's up, Effects? I'll let you get situated and then bring you up on speed on kind of like where we're at with this. But just so that when we're talking, and when you say, hey, I hit a million streams, now we're talking 3,000 streams is equivalent to an album. So a million streams, that's only $4,000. So you're seeing these people. So you really got to be in the billions, man, streams to really making like good money from streaming. But yet everybody sends these individuals down these platforms and want to say, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Deezer, I'm on iTunes or Apple Music or whatever it may be. Um, there's a whole lot that's going on that where we're doing is sending more, what I'm saying, traffic to them for them to grow up and get bigger, but they still give us smaller increments as far as when it comes to the payout. And if you have features, if you got to start splitting that up, like if you got points and you got, what I'm saying, all this kind of splits on that song and album, your portion starts to get even smaller and smaller. And then how long does it take for those individuals to get their money? So it starts to become a big cycle of running in circles to try to make the most out of a little bit. What effect, I'm sure you already kind of gather from what I'm talking about here, is just the streaming payout reality on DSPs, and if artists should actually think about not going that route of putting their music on digital streaming platforms. And basically the first thing that I was talking about is the payout, which is 0.003% of a cent to 0.005 per stream. And how one album is $10. Normally, you could sell that hand to hand $10, and it would take you about 3,000 streams for you to go ahead and even equate that to one album sale. Do you want to go ahead and just chime in?
Just saying, the way that music has gotten is basically beats, music, albums. I just think in general, even entertainment in general, we can even throw movies in there, has just become, there is a commodity at this point. What people use, sure, there's more people are willing to spend more money, so to speak, but they're paying less per, song, album, per movie. I think the only people who really make money now in regards to entertainment is really, as far as performances is concerned, is comedians, because they have specials, but they don't do specials as much as they do their stand-ups. You have to come out and see them most of the time. But other than that, yeah, music, beats, fractions, 1/1000th of a cent, just to, every time you listen to it. It's really, really affected entertainment in general, to the point where, yeah, a lot of people aren't making wealth. The big names are still making the money, but I think, as I was reading some of the comments in this, the link that I had sent you earlier, is it's no longer few making a lot. It's a lot making little,
Right.
I guess is the best way to put it.
And
But when they say little, it's little.
right. And this is one of the things that, I know you when you and I speak, and I always give you this, we get trained and programmed to do things, right? And we just do it by nature, force of habit. It's just, hey, we get up and we do it. But we really don't sometimes question things or try to say like, hey, that's not how it's supposed to go. And the analogy that I kind of use is right now, if you get on social media, you can see a lot of these police officers, cops, whatever, right? These public enforcement individuals, they try to enforce um, policy over law. And then if somebody who knows that, they stand their ground and they're like, hey, that's not, you know what I mean? Like suspicion is not a crime. And when to ID me, you got to, and when they stand their ground and then when they call the supervisor and it gets to a point to where they're being dismissed because it's like, I've been telling you, like, you can't hold me, you can't detain me, you can't do all of this, right? But we're programmed to be like, as soon as they threaten us with, if you don't show me your identification, I'm gonna take you to jail. You're breaking the law. You're doing this by recording, right? We're so programmed to do that. But then when these individuals don't do that, yeah, they might go to jail, but normally cases get dropped because it's them knowing their rights. And I think this is what happens into a lot of in the music industry. It's the same difference with streaming. When we're promoting our music on that platform. Like when you see people, when you see their promotions, it's gonna say available now where, right? It's gonna say available at wherever they use, their streaming platforms the most. If it's like I said, Apple, if it's on YouTube or to promote them all, so it's accessible. But like you said, it's thousands, thousands of fractions of a cent every time that happens. But they get the bigger picture. They get the bigger money. They get the bigger partnerships, right? And it's now all being bundled into um next to everybody else. Whereas an album, a single, like that was the joy of having that in your vehicle, right? Is you played that album, you listened to that album, you listened to that single when you bought it, and then you understood it where it placed on the album. And that's another thing we're going to get into as far as later on is just how an album was put together and how they devalue that. But it starts right now with just the value of the music, but then it takes a lot of money to create or a lot of experience, money, time. So if you really put that into an equation of money, it takes a lot of it, right? To create a song, to create an album, to create the advertisements for people to even know that it's out there. But nothing comes back. Nothing, it's a very small percentage that comes back. What makes you even want to continue doing this? Like it starts to get an uphill grind. You got people that's stealing your ideas. You have labels that are trying to take from you and take from you. You got distributors that are going to take their percentage. Like at some point, how do you sit back and say it's something that I want to get into because I see the benefits of doing this?
It's very hard to say that. Um, I mean, you really got to have a passion for it, I think,
Hmm.
to be able to continue to want to do it. But then maybe there's a bigger picture of why, like you said, like Spotify, Apple Music, and all them, they make so much money off advertisements and things on those platforms. So, for them, they're looking at it from the standpoint of we don't care as far as, I mean, it could even be to the point they don't care what the quality is because the more eyes that come to the platforms, the more advertisements that they can push on there, so they make more money. Same thing with Facebook and so on and so forth.
Right.
And now with AI, and I'm not knocking it. Like I said, I'm not knocking that. But now you're going to have people who have no musical talent at all,
Right.
who, who are now going to be added on top of those who have the musical talent. So therefore, it's just going to be like, okay, the saturation it's what it was. It's like what's I'm trying to give a perspective of instead of I guess it's just like the AI programs. We'll just say right, you have one or two big ones, and now you have hundreds and thousands of different small ones.
Right.
You know, so I was watching a video the other day that was also very interesting, like you said, and it was about a lady. I guess she does marketing and promotion, and she said the average cost to break a song properly is $150K.
Well, I can see that. Yeah. Right.
So when you look at it from that perspective, who has, besides people who have money or big labels,
Right. Just sitting.
has $150,000 just sitting around,
Mhm.
or who has the credit power to get $150,000 in loans? And they even say you don't even have to be good. It doesn't matter whether you're good. That's what you need to really push it out there is 150,000. I was floored when I heard that. You know, I guess it's cheaper now because it used to be more back in the day. You know, because the technology has made it easy, but still, $150,000 is a lot of money. So you know what? So when you see these cats blowing up out of nowhere, it makes you really wonder what's going on
Right.
behind the scenes on those when they're talking about there's no labels. Can't be all organic.
Right. Well, I mean, there's label. I mean, people still getting signed. I mean, that's what's really behooving. I mean, people want it that bad to where they're still putting themselves out there to get signed. You know, even saying that, hey, I'm looking for these deals. But at the same token, it's really no matter, even once you get signed, man, and they got the big machine behind you, like you still gotta recoup everything. So if it's being recouped at a small rate that we're talking about, and once again, we're 1 million streams is $4,000, right? Let me go ahead and cue that up. Let's go ahead and play that real quick, so that way we can get more context in what we're talking and how we got to this point, and what even when you sent that video. I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Let me get this cue here, so that way it's what I'm saying, like it really makes and drives the point home of what we're discussing and what we're talking about. So
Right.
let's do this here. So how do you do this? Man, bro, this is tore us up over here with all of these changes. All right.
$200 now. I'm not lying, but I know back in the gap, a Dr. Dre beat was 250 grand. Timberland beat was $150,000-$200,000.
Wow.
As the Neptunes and all of them, that shit was high.
Yeah.
So it would be shameful to get a beat from these top-notch producers and then have to put your shit on a stream and wait for it to stream.
Right.
4,000 stream, a million streams is $4,000. What? Yeah. 1 million streams is $4,000.
Wow.
So you got ready in order to get some money, you got to do like 1 billion streams.
If you want some money, yeah.
So like Drake and Kendrick, they doing billions.
They be doing billions of streams, so they getting money.
Yeah, Beyonce, Taylor Swift,
plus streams. But I don't. It's too much. It's too much red tape, man. In between that,
streaming.
No, absolutely not.
Should rappers take their music off stream to get it back to where people got to pay real money to get it?
Yep, I would. I remember when it was 99 cents to listen to it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so here's the thing. Like it costed us so much money to make those albums.
Mm-hmm.
It cost so much to pay a producer. Those people have come up with something so slick to cut us all the way out the money.
Mm.
The mom and pop saved hip hop. The mom and pop saved our lives, because if we couldn't do anything else, we can sell 100,000 records and make $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid you sold 1 million records and made $10 million. I'm gonna listen to this and I'm gonna pay him half a penny, but after this, I want to hear something else and pay them half a penny. No, you had to buy that body of work.
Yeah.
Like you can't like a real artist, man, you can't judge their body of work by one song.
Okay.
I would prefer way more if someone would just listen to an album from front to back.
Right.
That's why all my shit jammed from front to back, because I had a chance to listen to my album from front to back.
Right.
And it jammed.
All right. So this is everything that we talk about on a regular basis. So just speaking about, how much it costs to make a record or to make an album, and for it to do what it needs to do to be in a competitive market, but yet the fractions of how they pay you back or how it comes back into your pocket. That's for one. So now that devalues what a person is going to want to put out to make that record. So as a producer, the prices now on BeatStars are like $200 now, right? Or even less. I'm seeing bundles, people saying like 25 beats for $50. Now, I'm not saying that you own the rights out to that, regardless of the fact. That's a whole nother issue. That's how accessible it is now, and that's where people are at. So now, instead of being like, hey, when you hit up somebody and they say, hey, you know what, I charge $1,500 for a beat, $500, $800, you're gonna get looked at a little bit more crazy and side eyes than before. So that goes, man, we're not even gonna get into what that does, right? Because everybody's gonna think that shit, why pay that? I can go right to AI. So it just opens up this floodgate of everybody trying to make it through this eye of a needle, just to try to get. There's a lot of money out there, but everybody's got to get through the eye of a needle just to make it happen. That's where it's crazy,
Right.
and I think that's where you start to get more and more of the what we call the gatekeepers, where that comes into play, right? But look at what the gatekeepers done already, though. I do have a question: do indie artists benefit more from direct to fan platforms like, the Bandcamp, Bandcamps, email listings, Shopify's, your own websites where you have more, or should they go ahead, because once again, you still got to have the money to maintain and to push that, right? Or the knowledge base, because you got to have a team or know knowledge or know how to use all of the AI and agents and everything to really be successful, because that's what the machine has in place already. They got the connections, they got the rubbing of the elbows, they got those resources and the people that know how to do it. So do you think it's more beneficial to go with like the machine, or to do it, like I said, more on a direct to fan, like what we try to do?
That is one hell of a question, because
That's why I'm quiet.
it's at this point in time, it's like you almost have to do both.
Hmm?
Well, I'll put it this way: you have to do both until you can build up an audience enough that is loyal enough to where they will come looking for your music,
Yep.
such as a
Right.
tech, right? Tech is probably the greatest example of that. He's always had the ability of being able to sell independently on his own, but he uses it also on the streaming platforms. And matter of fact, I need to look, because I don't even really go looking online, like Spotify and stuff for tech. Um, I would usually go to YouTube first before I go to Spotify. Um, so, but that's a great example, because once you build your fan base, people will come looking for you, and you don't have to at that point capitulate to. Ooh, I used the big word. Capitulate to the streaming platforms. And that's why the labels started getting hurt. That's the reason why the labels started getting hurt, because once you started building the fan base and they were going direct, they couldn't get these artists assigned to them directly.
Hmm.
So then they were doing the 360 deals, because they were like, well, we need to make money on everything you do, because we're not making it on the sales.
Right.
Now, here's another angle, even to say, do you think? And let me go down the conspiracy theory road. that the model makers and so on and so forth are a part of that, because it's interesting, as streaming became more popular, they started racing the CD players from the cars. And just now you have to have a USB drive or streaming in order to listen to music. It's not even an option now unless you buy it yourself.
Right. Right.
So is it like everything is in
Of course.
tandem?
Well, that's remember when, like you said, the beforehand, before streaming, and people were doing directly from their own platforms or hand-to-hand sales, and before the major labels start to partner with the streaming companies, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the reason, because they were losing out, and they went behind everybody's back to talk to them and rub elbows to say at the midnight meeting to be like, look, we're losing money. You guys are here, and if we partner, we can both make money, because this is, it made it look like what the artists were doing was a negative thing, to where these streaming platforms were like, yeah, the hell with the artists. We can still do that, but we can really do this because that's going to make us bigger. That's going to be, and we're going to be in cahoots. So I can only imagine removing, the certain things from like CD players out of cars. It definitely was more bigger than just like uh,
Oh
like the
yeah,
secret meetings behind the prisons, right?
yeah. It's a
It's a
cog in
call.
the machine, right?
Right.
It's a cog in the machine because we know that the big players. I mean, if you mention Sony, right?
Mm-hmm.
They own multiple avenues, right? From
Right.
movies to audio equipment to, you know what I'm saying? They got their hands in everything. So yeah,
Right.
it's an endless cycle of money for them. It just keep going like this.
Right.
It don't stop for them because they got their hands in every bit of it, and that's
Right.
how they do it to control it. So
And control
you know,
starts in the mind, right? Like it all starts psychological. And basically what they did is just did a psychological value shift. And basically what fans used to do when they owned music, now they just rent access to it. You see what I'm
mhm,
saying? It's just like that's crazy. They took it, and it wasn't the artists, it wasn't the people that are creating it that devalued it. You know what I mean? It's just like they just said, "Hey, we can have here for this subscription fee for this month. You can have access to anybody that's in our plethora catalog, and
yeah,
whether it's your favorite artist, and we got all their catalog, or we got some of it. But as soon as you're done listening to that song, we can hit you with somebody else. So that value it constantly just starts to get a decrease and a decrease and a decrease, and then the competition level starts to go up, because now once again, like I said, man, there's people, bro, that it's so much music that's coming out so fast. It makes people think that they have to put it out fast. That's the next thing, right? Is it quantity? Is it quality? What is it? Because everything, if we're just looking at numbers, like everything right now is numbers, right? Million streams, 3,500 to $4,000. It's all numbers. Sounds good. You beat your chest. Hey,
oh
I got a million streams. Guess what? I got a plaque because we got a million this. We send numbers back and forth all the time. Effects and I, D and I. You know what I'm saying? Like we send these numbers because why? You have to know numbers,
yeah,
whether it's followers, subscribers, viewer and hours, like fuck number after number after number after number, right? Um, Everything is based on that. But is that the value in the product? I could say no,
nope,
because shit, our numbers aren't great, but I know we have a lot of value in what the fuck we're doing over here. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with the catalog, with the music. Like I know we have great music, but because we don't reach a mass amount of numbers and people, you know what I'm saying, the value seems to be decreased when you listen to some of the garbage that we gotta, you know what I'm saying, listen to.
yeah,
So it really doesn't really equate to me, man. And I think everything is looked at on numbers and based on numbers. And that's a sad thing. I mean, even money, right? Like the beats. Let's talk about that effects. What do you think right now is a good going price? When somebody asks you, hey, how much do you charge? You just say, I charge a flat rate for my beat.
I had that recently happen to me, and I didn't even know where to begin with that, because typically I don't sell beats for one. But I saw that coming before BeatStars and so on. It actually started out with SoundClick
Mm-hmm.
back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and people were selling beats for $50,
Mm.
and you're like going, okay, if you're selling beat, and I mean they're cranking out beats like if they're making pancakes at an IHOP on a Sunday morning after church, type, just type, and you're like, wait. That's where he's like, okay, at what point? Like, okay, I'm selling $50, and this was still at the point where there was still money being made from beats. It was you can at least make a couple of grand selling beats. But then, like you said, you can have somebody like Snoop, or you can have someone like I think it was Waka Flocka or something at that time. They were going to these sites and finding these young cats
Mm-hmm.
and saying, okay, I'll buy this beat straight from you for $500 exclusive. And then they turn around and release a commercial song, blows up,
Mm-hmm.
and then the producer didn't put in the contract at least to get you credit for the damn beat. So now you have Waka Flocka or whoever, and I'm just using names, big names because there was some big name artists ever buying these beats for basically crackhead prices, um, and then making a lot of money. So sometimes sometimes the most hungry people is the one that damages the industry. They're so desperate to get their name out there that they're willing to devalue themselves. But then, well, I guess it's like everything else, right? You can even say that OF, right? You have these individuals that they're so desperate to be successful that they're willing to devalue
Right.
themselves. And that's not all of them because I know there's other types of people on there, but it's the same thing with the music. They're so hungry to devalue that they're willing to devalue themselves and sell themselves short. But now it's become a situation where it's affecting the whole industry. Um,
Right.
and so with beats, I think the going price for a beat is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50. Well, what was told to me was $50 for a stereo file, $100 for stems, and that's just leasing. Then after that, for exclusive, I think it's like 200 to 500 is above that. But I guess it depends on who it is and so on and so forth. And then of course you gotta, your contractual agreements, you gotta make sure that your paperwork is right. But since I don't go that route, I really don't know firsthand, but I think that's what the going rate is right now. But even
Right.
then, $50 for a beat, because they got these cats that's making beats, and I'm not knocking them because I can make beats pretty fast. But when you have beat where you're just cranking them out, this is a Drake beat, this is a Tupac beat, this is a such and such. They call them style beats. Um, Instead of just creating and let it be whatever it is, you're purposely making beats for a particular artist or a particular style that you think that they will rock. And then once again, that's how you have the copycats.
Right.
Um, Nobody wants to really be their own. They want to sound like somebody else or make a beat that sounds like somebody else. I don't get it, but that's not me.
Right.
It's not about originality, it's about popularity.
Mm.
So as long as it sounds like the next hottest thing, they think
Mhm.
that's the way to go instead of being
Right.
original. Like you look at artists back when we was young, right? Coming up when hip hop was young, and clicks didn't even sound the same, bro. Like you had De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, Queen Latifah, Moni Love, all them. But if you listen to all their rap styles, all their styles was different amongst, and they was still a clique, a big conglomerate, right? So
Right.
it was all about originality. You look at it, the Far Side and just how the West Coast music, even though, yeah, it was reality rap, and some of them took it to the extreme with it, right? But the styles were still different.
Mm.
Everybody had nobody, even everyone that being clicked up, everybody was different. Second and None was different. They didn't sound the same. EPMD
Right.
didn't sound the same. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But then now you'll get a dudes group up, or they could be single artists, and you could play their shit all the way through, and you wouldn't know that the songs was changing.
Right. There is a lot of that where it's like you're looking for
Next hottest
whatever
wave, and just they just
right.
want to
You're
ride it
looking
out.
for whatever is hot. Like, hey, I like that. Like it's almost kind of like the Popeye chicken thing, right? Popeye chicken. Oh, that was the big. Oh my God, gotta go get it. Gotta go get it. Then everybody got it now. Everybody got a chicken sandwich, right? So it's
Mhm.
kind of like that where you're following. Whereas back in the days, you had to cut a check to make a hit. That was the price of the entry to make a hit. Like, hey, you knew it. Hey, I'm going to Timbo. I'm going to so and so. I know I'm gonna have to cut this fat check. I know it's gonna be a hit, or at least it's gonna have the makeup to be a hit, right? So, but nowadays you're looking at it like, okay, $50 to $100, and you got the same beat that 10 other rappers got, and they already used, and you can't even really make. That's the thing. I don't really see how you make money off of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Once again, if you're leasing, but when people are just going on, and I know Fex, you've had this in your studio. D, I know you've been around some artists like this. They'll find a beat on YouTube, write a whole album or a whole song to it, bro, and want to go use that. And it's like, but you can't do nothing with that. Like unless you contact that person and get the rights to use it, and everything is set up so that way you can actually register it and get the, you know what I'm saying, the end game, which is connect all the dots so you can make some money off it, fractions of a penny. But if you can push enough people to do that, or if you're smart and you got your own website and then you have it on there where you can actually have it name your price and have it downloaded where people can have it. Because one thing, I think one thing that streaming, like, okay, we don't have CDs, we don't have vinyl, we don't have cassettes no more. It's starting to make a comeback, but we still do have the power to download the MP3 and the wave. So for those individuals, because if you do not have some type of connection, Wi-Fi connection, you can't stream. So that, you know what I'm saying, is one of those things where to me it's like, okay, go support it by paying whatever it is to get the song, the album, and that way you have it. And like Effect said, you got to do both, right? So if you're supporting and if you're an artist, I think it's very important to make that known. All people do right now is push them towards the streaming platforms. That's my issue. It's like we don't get, we're not in sponsorships with none of these platforms. Yes, we're on, it's a business relationship, right? Just because you go and rent a spot at the swap meet, they ain't your friend. You know what I mean? They're not your homie. They there to make business. And if you ain't making business, and somebody else can come rent your spot, your space, or whatever, and they can bring it in, I'm sure they have no problem with trying to say, hey, we can make more with this individual. So all I'm trying to say is as artists, we got to think that way too. We got to start thinking to the point of like Space was saying, right? It was like, man, they got together and made this a system to cut us all the way out, but we're the creators of it. So I'm sure there's ways where, but it's unfortunate that you can have this still, you can have these means, but people still don't get led that way because, right? Unless you have an app, that's the next wave, right? Because it has to be accessible. People are driving and hitting YouTube, like Effect said. He might go to YouTube to look for whatever you're trying to listen to, Spotify, and then they're playing it from there. What we have to do is compete by having your own app. Now you're going to deal with people being like, oh, I don't want to download all these apps. I have an app. Effects got an app. Left Coast Kings, you got an app. Now everybody's gonna be like, all right, man, that's a bit much, right? So we're in a lazy society, we're in a devalued society, but then we're in everything is accessible society. Like, bro, all of those don't match. Oh, that's a recipe for destruction. You know what I'm saying? And we're watching it happen, at least to the creativity aspect of music, because man, it's not. There's no value in it, man. There really isn't. I mean, we can create it, we can value it, our families can value it as far as like what we're doing, as far as legacy and what we're leaving behind for people that generations to come can still see, hear, and have our presences. But outside of that, bro, everybody else is like, okay, skip, skip. When you buy an album, you don't really skip like that. You listen to the album, you get your favorites, and you put them on a mixtape or a playlist. That's how it normally used to work, right? So,
Yeah.
but I agree, effects. The money really didn't disappear; it just moved, right? It's no longer in the same bucket where you can create and get your wealth from that same bucket. You gotta figure it out. Just like now, they say this to every artist: you can't just rap, you can't just sing. You gotta be a damn blogger, vlogger, content creator. They gotta see. You have to see the behind the scenes. You have to do, like, these are have tos, bro. Like, there's no gray areas no more. It's almost you have to. The gray area is deciding if you want to even do this or not. That's the gray area. So
Yep.
Yeah, it reminds me of there was a commercial or something. It was a video on Steve Harvey was with Denzel Washington, and he said, "Do you know what's the difference between, like, say, for instance, a movie star and a TV star?" And he said, Denzel was out. I guess they were out together, and people come up to Denzel and whatnot, and he says, they approach him with respect and so on and so forth. But when they approach Steve Harvey, "Oh, what's up, boy? What's up?" He said the difference is people have to come out their homes to see me, but you go into homes on TV, so they feel like they're more connected to you in regards to, like, family member compared to someone else. And I
sure,
think it's the same way and with music and just arts in general. Social media has gotten to the point where we didn't know everything about everybody's lives behind the scenes. We only heard the music.
right,
Once in a while, you'll catch the news articles of, oh, such and such got busted for this, and that's usually when it was big or something huge. Now we're inundated with everything in their life, so therefore, our favorite rapper or can easily not become our favorite rapper anymore or whatever because they're now showing everything about their life. Which is
right,
why Dre and I would say using Dre as an example, he's still mysterious to a point because he moves still quietly. He doesn't allow too much into his world. Where you might have like what Timberland's going on, he's coming in his world. That might be a good thing. I like uh, T Pain. What T Pain's doing, but T Pain he's on Twitch where he's in playing, he's gaming, he's making beats and doing interviews and stuff like that. Okay, that's cool. But even then, you still don't hear too much of. He doesn't put his personal life out there. So there, you can straddle the fence with that. You can do both. But it's when you put everything out there. Well, yeah, you're doing too much.
right, right. I can see that. Um, I will say this though, the other flip side of all of that is that money is still out there in big money, and I think this is something more people are diving into also, which is sync licensing, placements, and custom commissions and stuff like that, right? So these are things that I think people are starting to also open up to because before you didn't hear a lot of people say that, hey, you know what, I want to create music, but I don't want to be a performing musician, artist, or so forth. I want to create music now strictly for licensing, sync licensing and stuff like that, right? Video games, television, movies, commercials, jingles, all that kind of good stuff, right? So you start to now that's a whole lane. Like, you got people that's like, hey, this is just what I want to do. So I think some of that focus has shifted, because back in the days, I mean, how much did you really see artists, especially hip hop artists, really get into that advertising space where they were actually being sponsored? It was always more on like the St. Eyes and like liquor based, but outside of that, cross colors, apparel. But outside of that, it wasn't much until they started coming up with their own brandings and started pushing those. Now that's also, if we start looking at it, that's probably why a lot of this is now been attacked, because they were probably trying to do it then. It's just we didn't know. Social media wasn't big. They weren't going to cover it. They wasn't going to get no beat writers. There wasn't like no professional team to have people to just travel around and just had journalists, you know what I'm saying, documenting what you did. It was either you had somebody that did it or that was it, right? But it is crazy, man, when you just start to look at it in the way, you know, different things have transpired and moved forward, evolved, whatever you want to call it, right? But it, no matter which way you slice it, the payout has digressed. The payout has been hit the most. Um, I think people are more creative now because you have to be. Just like you was talking about, like, okay, more people into what's going on with their lives, what's going on, the banking of this, behind that. So many, I mean, shit, just for us to do the podcast, sometimes D and I sit around and we talk about how many different, like, damn, I wish I had more hands because I need a camera here. I need this because it makes our content look better and more better to get the ideal across, but we got to move at the pace that we got to move at, right? So it's different when you have that and we have that access. So nowadays, because of that, you start to think on a bigger, broader scope. Whereas before it was just, you just left that up to your manager. You left that up to your and you know your whoever your PR person was. They set up the interviews, right? Like, I mean, shit, you know how it was, bro, trying to call up and get to radio station interviews or seminars, or it's not like when you represent yourself or represented yourself back then, it was tough. If you didn't know, if you weren't one of the big names that was, hey, I'm from Warner Brothers, I'm from Sony, I'm from UMG, I'm from Loud, I'm from Geffen, I'm from, if you weren't walking in like that as a representative, they weren't really taking you real seriously. And now people walk with that arrogance, like, hey, I just released something and I'm the shit and
You don't
I'm
know
the
who I
it.
am,
You
motherfucker.
know who I am? Kind of mentality where it's just like, that's again the gatekeeping, where the plus and the minus, you can just take it on which side that you know is most advantageous for you. But
Yeah.
it's crazy, bro. It's really, really crazy, man, because we sit across and we deal with a lot of different people, even on this platform, that are into a lot of different things. But it still comes down to the product, the creativity, the person who has the mind to do that, right? That's the intellectual property that we all discuss and talk about. But there always tends to be some machine, some built entity that has the reign over that, and it's not even their intellectual property.
Yeah.
How
Well,
do
there's definitely more opportunities, like you said. There is more opportunities. Syncing, licensing for TV, film, you know,
Mhm.
something I knew that was always where the big money was at. Was because once it's something that people like for a TV show. Once people, that's usually why I like syndication, right? Once a show goes into syndication and it makes money over and over and over again because people go back to watch it, you're still getting checks, which is why, you know, when they took the Cosby show off there, because that whole thing with the Cosby, there was a lot of people that was affected by that. You know, it wasn't, they just went after him, but it affected the whole cast because they were getting royalties off of that. The executive producers and everybody who had a hand in that lost money
Mhm.
for that. And yeah, so when you talk about syndications, such as, you know, getting a beat, a song on a video game like, you know, 2K, or you get on on Madden. You know, I used to tell people, man, you get a song on Madden, you make a nickel per copy if you can, uh, you know, get that in your contract and say, okay, you know, can I get a nickel per copy? People like a nickel per copy. Ain't nothing, but if it's 50 million copies being sold in a year or downloaded, you do the math. That's millions. So there's still opportunities, but it's just the thing is, once again, there's more opportunities, but now there's more people also. So now it's oversaturated, and even those people, they're starting to revert back to the people they know. It's almost like, okay, I'm going to go to these people because I know I always get this. So it makes it harder for a new person to get broken in because there's so many.
Right,
It's like walking into a. Go ahead.
but also the newer person, a lot of these people, and this is no dig to them, but They're lazy, bro. They're lazy. I mean, they'll come straight out and tell you that they're lazy. So the lot of the lot of the legwork that you're talking about, especially when it comes to sync licensing and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of legwork that goes into that. So a lot of these younger dudes, they are paying for people. That's where a lot of um these services tend to take over, and I think it's because of the services a lot of it's devalued because they're saying, hey, just pay us to do it. You and I both know, man, we paid for campaigns on stuff before, and they'll be like, we'll do all of this, and then they come back and it's like, man, what was done? Like you know what I mean? Like you question what they really did, whether it's you're going to a lawyer firm for something, whether you're going to a consult for, like, it just seems like people are just, hey, I'm just gonna give what enough or a little bit, or I'll regurgitate the same 101 information, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's it? I already knew that. So you're really not going and you're not really making a headway. So we are leaving people out there to try to make the best that they can do out of whatever mess that they've created, or what's in its what's in front of them. So um it's really a messed up situation. It's real messy, man. It's real messy. I guess that's the best way to even describe it. um all we're doing is just peeling back some of the curtains, and opening, to a wider audience, that those that don't know, that had a misunderstanding of how things work. Because I can tell you this, man, just from experience coming across different individuals, I've seen people stop doing creating music because they don't want to deal with the business side and all of the headaches and the rhetoric and the man, I gotta do what? I gotta register. I gotta do this. I gotta sign up here. I gotta pay for this to make that. Like, I'm good. I just want to do music. It's like, yeah, but you can't just do music. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody out there. You can't just do music, because then I mean, you can, let me stop that. You could just do music if you don't care about what happens, but if you're trying to connect dots to make money, to call yourself a professional at what you do, then a professional just doesn't do music. A professional just doesn't paint. A professional just doesn't build. Like, they have purpose, and they protect that purpose. Whether that's with the LLC, with an S corp, with their company, whether it's through registering through a patent, whatever the hell it may be, right? They're keeping that as a focal point, and it just seems like in this day and age and music, it's free. Give it to them. Give everybody. Just give them your music. Like, there's no give it, and they tell you that all the time. Like, just release it.
Yeah.
Give them
What did
your
Erica Badu say? I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. You feel me? Like,
right, right, and I agree with it a thou wow. But on the other side of that, what where does that sensitivity, like, be advantageous to you to be that way? Because your music. Like, is it the main thing for a person that writes or does music, or draws, or like when you cook, you don't do it for yourself. You don't cook for you to taste your food, bro. Right? Like, you do it to get a reaction from somebody, just to know because you got yourself on a pedestal, which all people should. If I play ball, I think I'm the best in this room. If I rap, I'm the best in this room. If I sing, hey, I got the pipes in this room. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I'm a
yeah.
porn star, I got the biggest ooh wop in this room, right? Whatever the hell it may be, that's how you're supposed to feel. So at some point, though, there's, okay, yep, you got knocked out and you go into the losers bracket and you keep moving on, right? Like, that's how anything works in life. You're not all, everybody's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're all equal. We're not all equal. So
Nah.
it's just something to
If that
think
was
about.
the case, it would be so much easier to navigate
Well,
through life if we were all, you know what I'm saying? If everything was just,
well, a
Yeah, it
lot of this
would
has
be
to do
good.
with
Definitely
they were
would go.
saying that
Right.
people get upset. Like you said, they're lazy, right? They don't want to know the business side, but then they're the first ones to complain and scream and be upset when they get hit with that jacked
right.
up contract, talking about, oh, why did you do this to me, and how come I didn't know this? It's like, man, Pharrell said this in in interview. He said it's the music business. So if you're gonna do the music, you need to know the business side, and if you don't, you're gonna be taken advantage of. You got to know both sides of it.
Yeah.
Period. Now, if you don't, then of course you're gonna have to pay. But guess what? Now you put yourself in a position to where you can be taken advantage of someone who has the knowledge and you don't.
Right.
So that's why it's key to have some knowledge of the business. Nobody said you had to be an expert.
Oh, I don't.
Nobody said you had
Yeah.
to be an expert. Just
Right.
enough to where you can hold a conversation and be able to understand the difference. So that way, if you have to hire a professional, you can know what they're doing. You know,
Right. Right. Like you said, to be able to have the conversation, I mean, that's where it starts because identifying something, you got to be able to articulate it. And that's a conversation starter to the person that you're going to try to either get the service from or that you're bringing it up to. Like, whenever I have something and I come to you as effects as an engineer or something, I just know how to word it to get the best answer that's going to help me. So, it's I don't know, man. It's just a lot. And once again, that's the lazy part because communication in this day and age is a lost art.
Oh yeah.
So,
Hey,
you-
Cube knew something was funny with the money, right? He didn't
right,
he didn't have a business mind back then, but he knew
right,
something was funny with the money, right? Like, hey, hold on, wait a minute. This ain't math and just like streams now. The math don't math.
right. It don't matter, but yet
Don't
we
math.
just accept it. And it becomes a world where it's like a double dutch. When do I jump in? When do I jump out? When do I jump in? When do I jump out? But it's definitely something to look at. Who changes it? How it changes? It's hard to try to figure that out. Only thing I could suggest is to always have something as effects brings up time and time and time again. He'll even beat his chest to be like, see, this is the reason why I'm glad we have our website. This is the reason why I'm glad we set this up. And this means because when things don't go according to plan, the one thing that you can always fall back on is the shit that you can control. And that's your website. That's your own music. Like, I beat my chest to say that I'm the Kobe Bryant at what I do because I've been a part of Sweatshop as my only label. Like, that's been my only label that I've rocked with since day one. My whole catalog is on that label. My whole tenure and just branches of that, like Demolition Man Productions and so forth, right? TOTN, blah 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 blah. So it's things like that where to me it's just like, okay, you grow, you farm. That's the farming system, right? We talk about that with Golden State when we talk sports, how they used to have a great farming system, right? So you take that and you're able to farm it. Man, effects. How hard has it been to do that with other artists? How hard has that been to do with other artists? Because everybody comes in and has their own. Hey, I got it. I'm gonna do it my way. Okay,
Yep.
okay. And everybody wants to have what somebody else has, so they come in because they need something, but then they see it. They got the inner workings now, and be like, "Oh, I don't feel like that person deserves that. I should have what they have." But wait, you didn't work to build this. You came in and it was already built. So this is the mentality that you hear a lot, right? It's the new rookie on the team that comes in and says, "How come he get all the shots? I should be having some shots." Bro, you haven't earned them shots yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, when the injuries hit the squad and you got to go up and play full-time minutes, you ain't earned that yet. So you got to
Yep.
do the
You ain't
things that
ready.
it takes to get there. Kobe, let's just use this as an example, right? Did he come in with, man, he couldn't even travel with the team and play on away games, right? When he first started. So why? And that wasn't due to his talent. That
shoot,
wasn't
he
due
sat
to
on the bench for the first 3 years, really.
right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but what that was that due to his talent, his value of his talent? No, that was due to what the system that said that's just with the way it's set up for you. This is how it's gonna be. And if
Yeah.
and if you want to be a part of this system, you do what you got to do. And when that time comes, be ready. And he was ready, right? So that's kind of like the same thing I look at in the music industry. You have to put in more than just writing bars. You got to put more into it than just, hey, I got a beat, I'm gonna speak more on. I'll let you speak to the producers effects because you have a lot more time and tenure in that than I do. Like I said, I come from the pen game, my penmanship. You know what I'm saying, and that's what I used to do and perform. That was my strong point, and I transitioned into other things and expanded as that. But to come from the artist aspect, bro, there's a lot more, man. I look at these artists, and yeah, you might have uh, a specialty that you do very well. But man, I'll tell you this, I do a lot of things great that you can't touch. So even if you might say, hey, well, I can get you here, that's cool, bro. You know what I'm saying? But like what makes Kobe and Jordan great is because you can stop them at one, but you can't stop them at everything, right? You might be able to stop them from going to their left, but they gonna go to the right. You might be able to stop them from getting to the hole, but they go pull out that jumper and that fade. You know what I'm saying? So they always got that extra in their bag. And I think a lot of artists nowadays, they put everything into one thing and that's what they hold high in regards. I don't know how the producers are in that regards, but I just see that in a lot of artists. Um, and I think that's also hurting the growth because you don't get
Well,
collaborations where it's accepted in my aspect, in my words. So
well, I could say from talking about the artists and the producers, like one of the things I think the greatest thing, even though it was a pain in the ass at the time, was Big Steve used to tell us, you have to be able to rock anything, anywhere, at any time.
hmm
I don't care if it's a country song. You got to be able to rap to that. If it's a rock song, you got to be able to rap to that because you don't know what opportunities are going to come your way, especially if you're doing remixes back in the day. Same thing with my beats. You need to do more than one style. He said, "Nope, I need you to do something like this. I need you to. Oh, that's not hot enough. I know you got more heat than that." No, he'll tell me straight up, "That's boo boo. I don't feel that. It don't move me. Do something else." And so eventually you build and you build up your catalog, you build up your skill set, your writing ability and everything. And then get to the point where you're confident. And that's what made the difference between all the producers back in the days because we had to go through that. We were the generation, and when we look at a generation aspect, and it's not to knock this, but I think music is too one lane more now. We grew up on rock, jazz, hip hop, R&B, on country because top 40 radio was everything. So how that transitioned into what we're doing now is, and how I experience some of these artists, is like they come to me asking for a specific type of beat. Can you make this type of beat? Well, I can, but why? If you want that type of beat, especially nowadays, why don't you go to that particular person? That's what they do. So, but we also see these artists that come popping out of nowhere, like you were saying. They come to the camp, they're all eager, they're all like rah rah rah, I'm down for the cause, whatnot. And like you say, they kind of learn a few things from the inner workings of how they do things, and then they decide, okay, well, I think I learned enough, I can do this on my own. And they take off. Hey, good luck, whatever, no hard feelings. Then they come back a few years, yeah, man, I should have never left, you guys and so on and so forth. And then they do it again. It's like, okay, all right, at what point do you realize that there's a system here? There's a system in place. This is the Lakers squad. This is the Celtics squad. This is a team Clippers squad. There's a system in place. The coaches are in place. Everything's in place. And you're now upset because you want to go one on one, but you can't win championships without the team. And
right,
when you have everything else in place, it just doesn't make any sense. So,
right.
it's like, okay, cool. And how many, and you know this, how many people came back and said, hey, I want to work with you guys and whatnot. I know three right off the top of my head that left, came back, left, came back, or they come back when they need something, like you said. Uh, can you do this for me? And and I'm not saying names to throw people under the bus, but I really don't care because at the point is that my accomplishments compared to your accomplishments is not even a conversation.
Right. Well, I'll
But I
say
don't.
this too, man. I'll say this just to add to that. I think a lot of it has to come down to it, to the point of just understanding like the value of what you bring to something. Um, and I think sometimes it gets overlooked because we make things look easy. Give me a second.
Yeah, but that has a lot to do with the fact that we had a system in place that made
Right.
it
But that's what I'm saying,
easy.
because they
We,
see it and we make it look easy. Um, that
it's like
they feel like they can go take that somewhere else and do it. And once again, this ain't even about that. It's just this is what I see, because even though other ones that come into our facilities or our studios, I should say, they're coming from somewhere else too, and they bring that. You know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
everybody runs their sessions different. Everybody
Right,
has to, and you're in a system. Like, we are a label, we're a production company. We're not just a producer that's banging on stuff that didn't set up a company to. So when we talk to them and these individuals about it, we try to explain it as a whole. Like, first of all, I don't like working with individuals who aren't affiliated with a pro company, right? You have, so that right there just lets me know at what level I'm starting to deal with. So if you're at register with a pro, right, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, whatever, right? If you're, then at least, okay, you're taking a little bit more serious than the average person. So okay, now let's continue conversing, and then we talk and we see where else. Like, I literally start to look at it on that level because I know what I bring. I know the value. And I think sometimes people want to just look at it and be like, oh shit, I could do that, because they see what we do and how we do it, make it look a lot easier than what it really is. At least in that aspect. Just like shit, I know when I look at other people's channels, they make stuff look easy until you do it. You really sometimes don't know, like, damn, how the hell they do that? Like, that's
right.
not something that I know how to do. I thought it was going to be easier. So yes, that is an issue now. But before we move forward, though, I always want to do this. We kind of went long, but I'm gonna go ahead and plug our other episodes, and I mean our other segments, that we got some cross promos. Definitely, we got the session live, which we're doing now, but we also got the regular session, which is also for culture heads. That also contains the panel, which you see here, myself, Doc Madness, Sweatshop Recordings, Demolition Men Productions, affiliates like Tony Effects, and others that come on the platform, including also D. We also have Unfiltered Convos, which we talk about and tackle headlines, real talk, no fluff, just straight from the hip. We give you the raw and uncut that we can on all topics that come across the platform. We also have Stone Not Stupid, which is for our 420 enthusiasts, our people that like to go ahead and elevate their minds and then go ahead and focus into a little bit better what they got going on in the cannabis conversations. And then, of course, I can't forget the one and only Cal Grizzly Culinary Cannabis Chef D. You know what I'm saying? That has everything from snacks to soul food, comfort cuisine with the left coast kings. We're putting something good in your
Sir.
belly. Put it in my belly.
And you do know that.
And, for the music enthusiasts as well, what's in your playlist?
Oh
That's
man,
just our little playlist.
Scarface greatest hits.
Yeah,
That's what I've been slapping the
exactly.
last like 3 days.
I know,
Like just,
right?
just that one album, that just the greatest hits album. Yeah, that's man. I was
Uh-huh.
like, damn. So
Okay.
I've changed my. He's number one on my list as storytellers. I had to replace him with Cube. I had to take Cube down to number two
Okay. Okay.
and put Face. When I
Hey,
started looking at the body of work, I was like, "Fuck, Face can tell a story, bro. He could paint a picture like a motherfucker with the
yeah,
words."
man, you're right
Like the
about
way he put an album together, bro.
that.
Yeah, it's a lot
Definitely.
of thought into what he does. Like people, I don't think nobody realize how dope Face is, even on the
Well,
producer side, not just as a,
right.
you
You got,
know,
but you got to understand. Like, Face even said it. Like, he was on a dark side of what he wrote. It was very dark. So, but it wasn't dark when what we consider dark. You know
no,
what I mean? Like, that's a whole nother, like, dark.
no.
What I
You
consider
can
dark.
feel
That's
that pain. You can understand. You knew somebody that
right.
was going through it. If you wasn't going through it, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you felt that. You understood that shit.
Definitely.
He
Uh,
had his music came from the soul, right? And a lot of artists. Well, no,
mhm.
I'm not gonna say because some young artists they put their pain in that shit.
Well, that's what
They
I was about to
really
say.
do,
They're putting
but
their soul and pain into it, but sometimes
but
it's just
they're not
just
always.
it doesn't have to
It's
be
not
direct.
legitimate. Some of it's bullshit though.
But even then, though, it doesn't have to be fact for fact for fact, though.
No, no, not at
You
all.
can just say, hey, you know what? Like that's the thing. Like they spoke from experience in the past.
Yeah,
Ace, he has experiences. Pot, you know what I'm saying? You just name the story on and on and on and on, right? So it doesn't even matter that they're telling you real life experiences, but they're not putting the real experience that it happened verbatim to where that could be held against them also in contempt of court,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
These fools nowadays, I shot them all. Who? Prince, Michael,
yeah,
and motherfucker so and so on the 23rd,
right. They brought the
1783.
dates,
These
the
motherfuckers.
street, the type of caliber, what they did with the gun.
Yeah,
So
I had the
it's
brand
for
new
us to have
J's on.
yeah, that's
One of
all
a
bad.
kind. Look at the
But
tattoo on my neck. It's this. Yeah, it was me on the CTV. It was me.
because now that brings credibility. And
Yeah,
it has a lot to do with it now because
yeah. I
you have
heard Logan
I
Paul
don't
say
know
something.
why that is, where it's like before you didn't have to do what you said, and it was still credible. I mean, Cube was very credible because he painted the picture around him what
Yeah.
he saw. You know what I'm saying? Some people are good at that. You know, not
Yep.
everybody can speak from and tell a what is it a point of view like a first person point of view. Some people got
Yeah.
to tell it from the third person point of view. Like even when we
Yeah.
talk and we write, like just think about that. Do you stay in your participle or present participle, whatever the fuck it's called? Do you stay in that all the time? No,
No.
because it's
No.
always from I to him to we to theys to it to the name to the me to, and then you're like, wait, I'm bouncing all over the place here.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. Logan Paul said some shit I heard on a and it wasn't even it was like a just an advertisement for this show, I guess, reality show or whatever you want to call him now, for him and his brother documenting their shit, right? And he said it's not about being liked or some shit. It's like it's about how many reactions can you get? How many, you know what I'm saying? Like he
right,
was saying, he was like, so he doesn't care like how much how bad people talk about him. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
the fact that he can get a reaction out of so many people, and that's what drives their shit, right? Because it's the views and the you know what I mean?
Saying it doesn't matter how what they're there to see, what it doesn't matter because
Nah,
it's the number, right? And that
yeah,
that's that feeds me to the next thing that I wanted to bring up before we get off of here tonight, which is basically the industry push for quantity versus quality, right? We're talking about algorithm feeding versus longevity, legacy, and what we consider as nostalgic music or something along those lines, right? That we love
yeah,
to listen to. When you hear sexual healing, it gives you a certain nostalgic feeling, right? It takes you
yep,
somewhere. These type of classic albums that I can just name off the top of my head real quick that I know, not just because of my liking or disliking, but just how it hit in the culture, which is like with Nas Illmatic, Dr. Dre's Chronic 2001, Jay-Z's Blueprint, Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. These albums impacted in major ways. And there's a plethora of others, but what I'm just saying in that regards to is they sold the experience. It was designed to be an experience. It wasn't designed to be just one song that was the single or they separated. Like
yeah,
effects, I'll bring this album in as well as what you bring up a lot that I'll allude to and give you a second to kind of like fill in the blanks on is the Dre's Compton album. You said it when you first listened to it about it was an experience that you had to, it was like a listening to a movie, and these are things that people don't understand when they listen to albums. I'm very big on this. Every one of my albums, you guys know, have been a lot of thought process in, and I could talk to you about it, and you'll be like, "Damn, hold on, go back and listen to it, and kind of like get a different perspective and optic on it." That's what I miss about a lot of these artists, of giving us something that to grow on, to find out more on, to be like, damn, now you can go back and re-experience that moment, that album, because you experienced it your way, but now you understand the way it should be experienced. So, effects, what did you mean by when it's like, hey, this is an experience that you got to understand it was like listening to a movie versus listening to a regular album?
That particular album, it literally the way it was, the concept of that album, and was explained was it was a compliment to the actual movie. So it was a movie. It's even to a point it's hard to describe it. It's a movie soundtrack that was its own movie soundtrack in itself that complemented the movie content.
Mhm.
This was his like interpretation, but it's something you had to listen to. Literally, you can put on the headphones, close your eyes. If you wanted to, you can blow on something, you can sip on something, whatever the case may be, and literally close your eyes and just listen to it from front to back. And you will literally, your mental vision, you can hear this, you can vision the scenes by listening to it. You're creating your own scenes, and that's what was so amazing to me about that album was the fact that
Right.
the attention to details of just the sound effects and that was in it. It wasn't just all about rapping. It gave you a feel. It pulled you in. It sucked you into that world that you literally can envision in your mind. And but you don't hear that very much at all these days. I mean, there's
Yeah, it's tough.
and it's not to knock some of these, the artists that say it's just because we live in a day and age. It's all about bites, bite size.
Right.
It's all about snacking. It's not about the meal.
Right.
And so therefore, when people are used to snacking all day, you get them to sit down and have a meal. It's kind of hard. But if you have a person who's used to a meal, snacking like, nah, I'll just wait till I have that meal, or I'll wait till dinner time. And then for those of us that really, I mean, those what we call 7-course, 9-course meals, whatever the case may be, that's an experience in itself. That's kind of what Compton was like. Was one of those scenarios. You had, the dinner salad at the beginning, the appetizers, and it built up to the end until you got to that dessert at the end. And when you got done with the whole album, you literally felt satisfied or full, and you were like, "Wow, that was an experience." And you
Right.
don't really hear that too much. I think the Illmatic album, like you said, was one of those where you felt it, you heard it, you felt it, you went through it. Um, um,
Well, that's what Face was saying too, right? Face was saying that's like it once again, if you give your listeners or give an album and that's the intent,
mhm.
and they don't get that experience to experience that. Like he says, it's like, man, like you lose that. You lose everything. Like we live in a skip culture. It's they want the like you said, everything's in bite size. They want the 15-second dopamine hit. They want that feel good right here, right now, and then they could choose when okay, I'm done. Like some people I know that listen to music, they don't even listen to full songs, bro. They'll fast forward it to the part they like, listen to that verse, that hook, bang it out, rewind it, you know what I'm saying? And they'd be all right, cool. Get it, whatever it is that they feel that they need to get out of that song. And records are already like short at 2 to 2.5 to 3 minutes long. And you already now you're doing everything because why? Everything is in clips, everything's in minute mode, everything is in, shorts and da 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 da. And this is once again, it's the program that we have. But like Face say, like I believe, and I'm hearing this out of your mouth, and I'm seeing D shake his head a lot to it, is that the album tells the story. The song is just like a trailer, but the album is the movie, right? So it's to draw you in, and I think now that's what the problem is because the quantity to feed the algorithm, you got to just constantly keep giving these bite-sized pieces. You can never really like it's almost like never come out with the album. You want to keep the anticipation, like Dr. Dre's um Detox. Look at how long people waited that. I mean, literally, you got to the point where people had to start posting about like, I'm done waiting. Like they had to let the world know. It's kind of like they had to put it in the universe that they were done waiting because it
I
was just
forgot about it. I was like,
right.
damn, shit, I guess it ain't never coming out. Fuck it. Let me move on.
Right.
Shit.
He
You know what I
done
mean?
made other albums and kind of just let that one go. But once again, and that's the byproduct of a perfectionist as well, right? Because he some things leaked, Then he was like, nope, he doesn't like to release anything that leaks. So there's all these different things that play into it. But why, when you get to an algorithm like now, of course, we all know Dre's on a different playing field. He doesn't have to drop shit for years. When he drops, it's gonna go ahead and do numbers. Him, Eminem, there's a couple people like that you never really hear from them. You don't see them, and they drop and they still do decent ass numbers. But I think right now it's like it sucks because you got to have a lot of quantity to feed the algorithm. Then you need to have the quality, which feeds your own legacy, and then also to grow your fan base, and to have that like confidence that they're gonna be there because they know what they're getting from you. Like LaRussell, his fan base has the confidence of knowing that even though he drops a lot of music, he's a prime person that he does both of this. He drops a plethora of music, but it's still good quality.
Yeah.
Now I've said what I've said, in my, hey, you know what, like I think he found a lane and he stays pretty much within that lane in a lot of his music. I'll say about 80 to 90 percentile of his music, he's within that lane. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm just saying it as I recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I had a question. We were talking about, the streaming and the and how little the value is they put on their music, right?
mhm.
What do you think about what he's done, where he allows people to put offers and go in on the music or the song or the album and own rights to it as well?
Let me just fill in what you're
Or have
asking.
the sharing. I forgot what he calls it.
Well, it's basically you're getting a split. You're part of the split of the song, so you're buying in to like almost like a stock into that song. So that way you get your residuals on the tail end. So when you hear the word splits and publishing and things of that nature, what he does is offer that into people. The way he does a lot of his business is a lot of the times there's no exchange of monetary compensation back and forth. The way he does business is on the tail end. Let's worry about how we can make push, as long as we're signing up for the same thing to promote and push this all down the same road, then we can reap the benefits on what we kind of split on, what our agreement is on the tail end. So the money is bigger on the tail end for one, but it's
Mhm.
also getting that dedication of that person that's being a part of it
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, yeah, I want to watch it grow." So I think that's the best way to do it. It's honest business,
Yeah.
because anybody who invests into you, whether it's time or money, they want to see the end product be more than what they invested. Like that's
Yeah.
just, isn't that the
Well,
whole term? Isn't that the whole
yeah.
concept of investing?
Yeah.
And if both people, if you're looking for to be invested in, and you're the person that's looking to invest, it's a service for a service. So why not make that both of you guys can win, and see the greater potential than just, okay, well, this is what I want, this is what I want in return.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that makes it a little bit different in how it grows. And what it does also is, for the next person that sees it, guess what? Oh shit, man, I want in,
Yep.
right? And then the person that it just happened to, like, hey, when can we do this again? So now what you just created is a source that keeps coming back. It is a
Yeah.
revolving wheel, man, and that's honest business. Like, who doesn't like to go to the corner store that they feel like they're not watched, that you know the person. If you don't have it all, they'll give you, hey, don't trip, just get it to me next time. Who doesn't want to be in a place like that? Who doesn't want to go somewhere, send their kids to do business, spend your money, even if the price may be a little bit higher than what you can go get it at the 99-cent store? Or, oops, are they still around? But whatever discount mark that you can go get it at, you don't mind paying it, because you just be like, hey man, I like the transactional business brings me back, right? So I think that's what albums do. I don't get that from singles. Like, I've never really been an
Nah,
artist that just like their singles and been a like of their music, or been
I'm real quick to, if I hear a single, I'm trying to find the album
right.
because I want to hear everything. I want to hear the album because, like, I'm like, oh, if that's the single, it's off this album. Okay, I want to hear this whole album then.
Hear more, right?
Yeah.
and that's kind of like where I believe that it should be. But now we're in a culture where it's just single driven.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that. Now I do want to push this is that we allow it to get to this kind of place, right? As artists, and as the
Yeah.
creators of this, we it doesn't have to be in this space, right? Like it just there's something that it just takes more independent individuals to stand up to be able to do it. Like I said, you brought up Tech Nine, right? Effects earlier. We always bring him. He's probably like the epitome when you talk about the independent doing it your way and basically having them to come and accept you, period. Like, hey, we have to accept this dude. We can't stop him. Like when you got warehouses and warehouses of stuff that merchandise, and I mean, you can't be stopped, right?
Strange.
So when we talk about that and when we use that as an like that should be promoted more. Those individuals don't get that type of he doesn't like he's once again people are like I know who he is, I know who he is, I know who he is, but it's not gonna be
I think it's more it's accepted because of where everybody is now as far as the singles.
mhm,
The reverse has the whole purpose of singles used to be to sell an album, to promote an album. Now it is single, 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 and that's the TikTok mentality. I think it has a lot to do with TikTok. Everything short form.
yep,
You're seeing that on YouTube. Short forms is blowing up because of the very short attention span, and so you can watch boom, 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 boom after each other. And okay, cool. Compared to like right now, this is considered long form, and well, we're at an hour and some 20 something minutes at this point.
right.
And how many people really will watch or listen to the whole thing? We
And they'll
don't know.
miss a lot of gems and then they'll short
So you have to do what you got to do. You got to chop it up into bite-sized niblets. So people go, oh, I like this. Let me go listen to
yep,
the whole podcast if they hear
yep,
enough of it. So
Don't worry, it will.
it's not just us. We just have to force feed. We got to know who our audience is. That's what it really boils down
right,
to. Who is your audience? Because some
okay,
podcasts, like I mean, Joe Rogan, his podcasts are not short at all. And there's people who listen to the whole thing all the way through because that's his audience. Now you might have other people because of there's some videos channels I listen to. I don't watch all the time, but they keep it under 20 minutes because they know that once it gets past that 20-25 minutes, the numbers start falling off.
right.
So it's really about your audience. Once you know what your audience is and you cater to that audience, just like you said about Lil Russell, Lil Russell is like he knows his audience. So therefore, they're not going to go nowhere. And everybody has their lane. The problem is everybody, they're trying to force feed us into doing something and just that may not be a part of your lane.
Right. But I'm gonna speak on this part too. I'm sure everybody told the person that was thinking about doing a buffet style of restaurant that was the dumbest idea possible. But I know a lot of the buffets that I attend to always are busy. So that just lets me know that there's people out there that like choices. There's
Mm-hmm.
people out there that like to have not the same thing, not the I want to go somewhere, but you too okay, now you can get what you want. So I also look at those channels and I like those channels that give
Mm-hmm.
me more than just say I'm gonna just speak to you on basketball or I'm gonna just
Mm-hmm.
speak to you on this, right? And I think that's what we've created and what we're doing
Things
is
of that nature.
exactly things of that nature. You owe it to yourself because why? We don't only have these conversations. We have conversations about property, taxes, politics, school, parenting, you name it.
Movies.
So I
Everything.
agree with you and what you're saying 1,000%, but we don't have to abide by that. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody that cop that pulls you over and wants to tell you that you because oh, well, you were suspicious. Like, hey, bro, suspicion is not a crime. And they need to have their damn supervisor come tell them that. We live in that society. So just think about the person that's listening to music. Like, these are the same individuals that grow up to be these cops, right? So that's what I mean by we have to sometimes speak up and point people in the right direction. We need to tell them to pick their heads up, get it out the phone. We got to tell them, hey, hold on, listen. Like you got to be forceful and tell people to listen. So as an artist, that's my job, to speak to an audience, to microphone control, right? To move the crowd, to MC, to really MC. We don't have enough of that. We don't have enough of those individuals. Everybody just wants to be heard when it comes to look at my blicky and I can shoot you with the diggy. And everybody wants that though, and be like, ooh, 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 ooh. But nobody wants to start saying, hey, look at what it's doing, not what we're saying, because you can say whatever. We just need more people to stand up and look at what the majors, the machine, the people are doing, and devaluing the music. That's what it all boils down to, because music ain't dead. The value system around music is what's broken.
Yeah,
You control your story, if
it's
you
not
control your
valid.
ownership, and you control your distribution, the bag is still there. So we
Yeah.
need to stop giving everything away to these people and these businesses and these services, and thinking that they're doing a great service for us. They're not. It's the more and more we give away and the more we look at them as needy. And
Right.
unfortunately, sometimes you got to have, for the techies out there, they would understand this more. Like, it's hard. Yeah, they're servers. We know that not a lot of, it's a monopoly when it comes to who can hold servers for your own videos. Like, it's you look into this and you start digging deeper, and it's like, wow, people are really behind. The creatives are really behind, because all it takes is a flip of a switch. Just like these people that are balling out of control. My channel had 200,000 people, and blah, blah, and they just, with a switch, they turned it off. Whoa, like just think about that, right? It's the same thing with your music. Spotify,
We
Apple,
just had that happen recently.
that's all I'm saying. One day your music's on there, the next day it's not accessible. What are you gonna do? Like, these are real questions that people aren't asking. They're just signing up, agreeing to the terms, and that's it, and thinking it's gonna be there forever. So, hopefully our platform will reach to a lot more individuals, because guess what? I can guarantee you this: they're gonna come across something we just spoke about within this hour and a half, and they're gonna be missing the information, and they're gonna travel down that road. And then if it's somebody that we know, we're gonna say like, man, we know you ain't watching the channel, you ain't listening to the gems that we're dropping, because we're trying to give that in real time so people can make better decisions. Um, it's not an easy thing to figure out, when to connect all these dots. It's not. It's very lucrative. And basically, if you don't tap into a source that you can truly trust, right? Like, you can truly trust, you could be led down a rabbit hole, and for the X amount of years that you've been doing music, been doing it wrong, not doing music wrong, the business side wrong that whole time. But I do got a question for both of you guys. What's the last album that you guys listened to from front to back, or top to bottom, whatever?
Front to back. The Clips. The
Okay.
last album. The Clips. That last album.
Let
Let God
God
Sort
Sort
It
'Em
Out.
Out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually listened to it twice back to back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's nice. It's a nice body of work, man. Like, you gotta really listen. Cause them boys, yeah, you gotta listen. That's why I played it. That's why I played it again.
Hmm.
I ran it back because I was in the kitchen doing what it do, and I was like, okay. I was like, damn, hold on, I want to hear this again.
I don't care with that one. I haven't heard a full album in a minute.
Okay.
I think the last one was actually Smooth Jazz. It was Brian Culbertson.
Okay.
And that was just, something different. Just to get my headspace into a different headspace. But yeah, it's been a minute since because I've kind of got sucked into this,
Hmm.
the now.
I was gonna ask you what the reason was, if neither one of you were gonna give me a answer that was, hey, yeah, I can remember it was this, and like I don't even recall. I was gonna ask them, what's the reason for that? Like, why is it that you haven't, or why don't you? Like, I do it all the time. I mean, I listen to. I'll get. Do you know? I'll be like, hey, bro, I haven't listened to it because I gotta when I'm driving to one of my appointments or something, right? I was like, I gotta vibe out to it. So
Yeah.
I'm big on that. I don't like to listen to albums broken up at all. So
Yeah,
that's what.
so that's just because of that. To keep up with some of what's going on. You almost have to snack on the music a little bit right now, and
If
at
you want
least
to keep up with it, you're all right because I
Right.
am behind because I don't listen to it in snack
right.
bites. So
And I'm trying to catch up. So I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to snack and this flavor. Okay, let me. Ooh, I don't like that flavor, but hey, at least I tried it. Type stuff. Um, but yeah, it's been a minute for me too. To listen to all. But do I miss it? Yeah, I do miss it. But I think the way the music is now is it's because it's not. They don't go into it that way. I don't expect it to be that way. So I expect an album to probably jump around. I think Hit Boy is working on an album right now. Um,
yes,
and when you're looking at it, even though some of the old heads are dropping singles now, they're not dropping albums. So it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of they're falling into that category too.
They
Um,
trying to keep up with the times because they
right,
don't want to fall behind. It's like
right,
they have to. It's almost like they're being forced. You're being forced into another lane because the cones have been set up or the barrier has been put up to where they're like, nah, you ain't getting all these avenues. You're going this way.
next
hmm
question on that is this too? Is that also coming because now they maneuver without having that machine behind them?
That
And
too.
because the machine would always make those decisions for them, hey, you need to be here, you need to be doing this. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to do this. We're going to focus here. We're not going to focus, whatever that may be. And so now it's like, oh shit, everybody's saying that we got to drop singles. So hey, I need to
Hmm.
get in and start dropping singles. See, and that's what I mean by it's like we're misled, and that can keep going until somebody says, hey, this is not the road we need to be traveling down, and we don't have enough of that. I mean, if we had more killer mics, if we had more, you know what I'm saying, of these type of individuals that speak on those terms, right? The Morla Russells, like, listen, it's out there. Shit, he puts his interviews in before his albums. He does that so that way, why? People can listen to them. You can get some gems. It's just I bet you people are gonna do what? Oh, it's an intro. They start talking. It ain't no music. Skip. Oh, that's 13 minutes. Skip. They don't care about what the damn value is. So we got to make sure that we're telling people, hey, this is what it is. This is what it is. So those bite size, that's what should we if we started doing that with those bite size, then hey, we're hitting the algorithm still, and we're feeding the people that want it in bite size. So
right.
it's a damn game for sure.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the reason why I wanted to start these talks to get more and more behind it and what goes on because the thought process is a lot, man. For any artists that are out there, any producers, anybody starting, man, it's a lot, especially like right now. I mean, you're getting pulled in so many directions, bro, to do it this way, to do it that. Place your music here, do it here. Download this plugin, download that, buy this, you know what I'm saying? Subscribe here. There is so much where it's like, I think the normal person who like musician or just, how I was used to coming up and creating, like those normal individuals, all of that other stuff is like obsolete because they just want to sit in there and create music. And that's where you get those individuals be like, "Hey, I don't want to deal with all of that. So I'm just rather not create." So it's discouraging, I should say. And then you get the other people that's love to do that, and that's encouraging to them because they're like, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that, I love to do that. And so you see what I mean? It's definitely, I think it's not enough being weeded out and spoken upon for those like I said, the Killer Mikes, the La Russells, the way things, alternative ways to do music business. I guess I should say, because the traditional way is shot. I'll tell you
Well,
that.
the
The
way they
traditional
used to,
shot.
right? A&R and artist development and marketing promotion has changed. There is no A&R now. There is no artist development. So
You're
therefore, everybody's developing themselves, um, and because there's a wide range of people you can compare yourself to. It's just like, okay, anything could be accepted at this point to a certain degree. I mean, they can tell the quality to a certain degree, but when you have people who like, I don't care, as long as it sounds good to me, I'm good.
And I will say that music is sounding good, like across the platform, quality wise. So that's good. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because now a lot of these things they are making it at least more accessible to make your stuff. So if you're really getting a lot of bad sounding recordings and stuff like that, it's like you really are just trying to rush the process because it's not that hard to get. Now, once again, commercially professional ready. I'm not saying it's easy to get that. I'm just saying it's easy to get good quality sound. It's not hard because it's technology is not expensive, so and it's accessible, widely acceptable at that. So, um, but we are gonna start wrapping this up here. I know we don't want to even get to the close part where we know there's a cutoff where it
Yeah,
it doesn't allow us to get clips on an easy
can't do our
basis,
job. I
right?
can't do my job. The
So we
slicer.
are going to go ahead and start narrowing this down, but I don't always want to say, man, thank you both for stepping up, joining onto this fabulous platform. All those that are viewing out there, the thinksters. I do got a question for anybody. Do you feel that we need to, as artists, need to pull our music off digital streaming platforms to get the value back? Something to think about. You guys can drop it in the comments for any replay value. We'd love to hear about it because this is going to be something that I'm going to keep up addressing so that way we can all keep informed and in tuned on how this process moves. Any last words, D? Any last words, effects?
Be nice to people, man. Be nice.
Right.
And wish everybody's football team a horrible season except for the Denver Broncos. But other than that, I don't have a whole lot more to say, man. I love y'all.
Thanks.
I just know we had a scary yesterday, well, over the last couple of days. Luka, whew, oh my goodness. But I just look at it from the standpoint. But pardon words, is you can use both. Just I would say start having some exclusives that you have on your own platform, so that way you can pull some
Mhm.
people over there, and have it as a backup also. Because we just
Right.
experienced that one of my albums was pulled off of Spotify. It was on there Friday and Saturday it wasn't. It was like the hell. But guess what? It's on the website if you want it.
There you
So,
go.
have that backup in that scenario. It's on everything else though. That's the crazy thing. It's on YouTube, it's on Apple Music, Deezer, everything. Spotify was the one that said F you.
Yeah,
So I'm like, well, there's other ways to find it. But yeah, do it that way. Look at some exclusives that only on this website, and that way you can feed your audience's appetite with something that they can't get everywhere.
that part.
Well,
That part. And I'll go ahead and I'll end this by saying, hey, go play somebody's album from top to bottom. Go pick an album. Just do one. Pick one album. Maybe it's somebody that you know that does music. Do them the just by going ahead and just putting that on your playlist from top to bottom and listen to it. And give somebody that credit because once again, everything isn't done in small, like they don't bake pizzas by the slice. They bake it as a whole pizza and then they cut the slice and then they sell it by the slice, right? So that's still to a bigger ingredient pile in the thought process. So that thought process, go listen to somebody's album and at least give them that just. Always stay tapped into things of that nature. We got a lot of stuff that's moving on here. We can't even always remember what to bring up, but definitely we got things that are in the mix, growing and growing. Stay
always.
tapped in to Left Coast Kings. My man's constantly grinding over there. We're coming up with new ideas and expanding that as well because once again we are a partnership of businesses. So definitely go ahead and support that. Go
Yeah,
buy something from somebody that you know that's selling anything, merchandise to support,
yes. I
music.
just put in an order too. GB got some new T-shirts. It's
Okay,
popping,
I
so
see
I
that
had
you're
to
telling
tap
me I'm
in
gonna have
with
to
him.
go do that too. See, and that
Yeah,
way, and spread the word. So if you somebody who don't know, because once again, as an independent and small artist, we have to understand they don't have the means to get it out to everybody as fast and on a wide platform. So word of mouth it, you know what I'm saying? Just like what he did.
Kevin Ali got fly ass gear too. The Central.
There we go.
Sweatsuit, short, the whole, everything. Yeah.
See, and we
everybody
are putting it out here more as well. We got things coming in that we're going to be pushing on here too as well. Speaking of which, before we go, I will
nature gear coming soon.
Right. There's a lot. Once again, all we do is sit down, brainstorm, and try to see what we can do because we don't want to be pigeonholed into one thing. We got way too many ideas and that energy to create, and then also the knowledge that expands from there, rubbing elbows, right? So we know a lot of individuals that are doing a lot of different things, and this is one place that we can offer to go ahead and let it all hang out and tap into. So before we go though, love, peace, hair grease, all of that, man. Smoke them if you got them. Be nice. And tell the child, man, that they're great. Let's go ahead and start trying to get the next generation break the cycle of what we see and what we're complaining about. So it starts with them. So tell a child that they're great, a grandchild that they're great, something like that, and help mold and build them for better success than what we've been able to do, y'all. Accountability. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And we got one thing that we're gonna go ahead and go out with here. Like we always try to do about this time, baby.
Look at me right now. I aim low, drain no, baby, pipe down. Sweet cherry pie kush, make a nice cloud. Leave a couple souvenirs on your nightgown. Nice little cozy Airbnb. You can bring your whole posse, ain't no scaring me. 30 below zero, I don't wear a mink. Unicorn blood in my cup, that's what pharaohs drink. We're up late nights watching Larry King. Getting brain dead head, she can barely think. But that bubble gum yum, this canary pink soft served ice cream dip, that's my Dairy Queen. Hot breath, brush your teeth, I'm the executive executioner, baby, execute the cheeks. So fly like Cupid, I refuse defeat. That vegetarian puss, I rebuke the beat. Two-step and do the throwback. Two-step and do the Reebok. Two-step and do the Womack. Two-step and do the bebop.
Things of that nature.